I have made it very clear time and again that, there's a lot of people who wonder, oh, if only Hillary Clinton had won in 2016. Well, I look around and I realize that even though it's unfortunate that we got stuck with Trump for 4 years, I can't even imagine how much faster we would have accelerated towards fascism if Hillary Clinton was our president. I'm going to play a clip for you guys now that is going to address this key issue of why it really doesn't matter. I mean, clearly, there's issues on the periphery like abortion, Second Amendment, LGBTQ rights, things like that. But when it comes down to the core of the two corporate parties in our country, there is no difference. And when it comes to the leaderships at the top, there really isn't as much. In fact, I have always maintained that Hillary Clinton was worse than Donald Trump. And I'm going to play a clip for you right now to explain just how deeply rooted this vengeful human being really is and how far it goes. Here we go.
I don't think
this was in place.
Well, this guy
been gone.
A meme guy got found guilty for posting memes. I don't know the exact details of his court
He got
case.
found guilty?
Yeah, they found him guilty.
And then what? What does that mean?
Do you know
Who
the
found him
memes
guilty?
guy? It was a very subtle parody of Hillary Clinton. He was like
Found him guilty.
trying to say with this thing, like to Hillary voters, they could just stay home and text your vote into this number. Wasn't that it?
Oh.
Something like that. Yeah,
But
I'm
And
gonna
it's
try
a
to find
parody.
Yeah,
but they
but-
took it seriously. Or
but-
somebody said, can you believe this is happening?
They found the dude who did it and they fucking arrested him.
that.
What?
He tweeted that out.
Avoid the line.
Avoid the line, vote from home. Text Hillary to 59925. Vote for Hillary and be a part of history. Amazing. I mean, amazing. Amazing.
The federal criminal trial of a man called Douglas Mackey began this week in Brooklyn. It's the single greatest assault on free speech and human rights in this country's modern history. The Biden administration is trying to send a man to prison for saying things they don't like and create a precedent so they can do it to you too. Here's the background. During the 2016 presidential campaign, Mackey posted memes that made fun of Hillary Clinton and her supporters. One of them on Twitter read this way, quote, "Avoid the line, vote from home, text Hillary to 59925. That was obviously a joke and everyone knew it was a joke. But the FBI, which probably has nothing else to do, tracked down several people who texted that number in Mackey's meme. None of them remembered even doing it. That's according to discovery in the case. So there's no victim here. No one was fooled by what Mackey did. And yet days after Biden took office, 4 years after Mackey posted that meme, the feds arrested him and they charged him with conspiring to interfere with the rights of American citizens. He'd go to jail for 10 years for that. That means if you crack a joke on the internet that Democrats don't like, federal prosecutors get to decide you're interfering with an election. It's hard to imagine a more Soviet prosecution than this, but it gets worse. The DOJ's key witness against Mackey is a member of Mackey's group chat from 7 years ago. But DOJ will not let his lawyers, Mackey's lawyers, conduct a full cross-examination of that witness because he works for the FBI.
This guy who goes by the name Ricky Vaughn, like Ricky Vaughn from Major League, this was his, call it a joke, call it whatever you want. He was prosecuted. They tried to give him 10 years in federal prison for this. He's going away for a year. That's pretty scary. I don't remember any stories about Trump doing something like this, although Trump is very likely going to get convicted on something. But even though we don't have a clip of it, and I've only seen a little bit of bits and pieces of it, but Hillary Clinton reveled in this opportunity to dance on this guy's grave, this nobody on social media, and she's making a point to say that this guy deserved to go to prison. And the most amazing part of this story, which many of you may not know, is that it didn't start again until after Biden won. You want to know the date that it became an issue, that this guy got charged? January 21st, 2021. Hillary Clinton was sitting on this for 4 years and insisted that this guy, probably others too, I mean, it's only one that we know about, but insisted that this guy get prosecuted for that meme. And we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree. When you have that much hatred and resentment, when you've heard all the stories about the lengths that she's willing to go to grind an axe on anybody who gets in her way, who she deems as responsible. I mean, look, whether it was a joke or not, and obviously it was, is it possible that a few people got confused? Maybe. But you know why it's so ridiculous on its face? The second you text that number and it comes up of, oh, yeah, there's nothing here, that's the end of the argument. Now, I will say this, and I will say this to you don't like my music, and I would say this to anybody. Let's say for the sake of argument that you text that number and then something pops up and it says your vote has been counted. Then you would have an argument. That would technically be a form of election interference, and I would support some type of civil prosecution in that regard, not federally criminal prosecution like this guy who's going to prison for a year. Talk about fascism. My God in heaven. But that's not what's being addressed here. What if that text message actually went somewhere and said, your vote's been counted, you're good. And then they found out afterwards, actually, no, your vote wasn't counted, even though you should know that you can't actually vote digitally, and God forbid that ever becomes a thing. But I'm sure that anyone who was even foolish enough to test this and see, ding, 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 can you vote? No, you can't. Well, that's the end of that. So the idea that this person, Mr. Mackey, got prosecuted for doing this and was found guilty and is going to prison, not even a suspended sentence, not even community service. We're sending you to prison for this. I've said for a long time that she is an irredeemable person. And she isn't. She's irredeemable. It's everything. The idea that she systematically took over the Democratic National Committee after the 2014 midterms on behalf of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Keep that in mind. For those of you who still don't remember, when Debbie was head of the DNC, she head of the DNC for 6 years. And in the 2014 midterms, the Dems got wiped out. And one of the things that didn't get talked about and why that particular wipeout was so bad was the fact that the Democrats spent in that midterm the amount of money that you would spend in a presidential election. So they got clobbered and they put the DNC, Debbie put the DNC in the hole millions of dollars. The next thing you know, the Clintons come in, they swoop it, provide the funding, and now the party is effectively theirs. And so that entire 2016 primary was basically a farce. I mean, I was involved early, and I saw everything. So when people say that Hillary won the primary, no, she didn't. It was a systemic, corrupt process from jump. Much like they select candidates. Well, they sure as hell selected that Democratic nominee. It doesn't just start in one place. It's everywhere. It's systemic infiltration of our systems. It's why libertarianism has grown in such leaps and bounds in this country. Because people are afraid of the systemic takeover of the deep state, or whatever you want to call it. You know, shadow government. If you can admit in court that, yeah, we're not obligated to play by the rules, we will just pick who we want, and that'll be that, that's pretty scary. And yet, here we have somebody who was that close to being president of the United States, who decided to make a point on a talk show the other day that a guy who made a meme about being able to vote online for her is going to prison, and deservedly so. I know you guys hate Trump, but my God, Hillary Clinton is a scary freaking person. And if somebody like her had the ultimate power, I mean, everyone's talking now about Trump and what he'll do if he gets back in the White House when it comes to going after his political enemies, and he will. That's not even up for debate. But if Hillary Clinton had the opportunity to go after her political opponents, she would have done so at a much more calculated and dangerous capacity than Donald Trump ever could. And one thing about Trump is that you kind of see everything with him coming. He's not sneaky. He's very in your face. The traitors, the terrible people, we're going after them. Hillary Clinton can literally sit on something for years, and then strike. This happened 7 years ago, and this guy is going to prison, and she's letting you know, I'm the one who made sure he went to prison. And I would make sure a lot of other people go to prison too if I could. It amazes me that she's still around, that the Democratic Party, you know, I shouldn't say that because you never know if, in fact, the Democratic Party, quite frankly, has much of a choice. We still don't know the extent to what debt the Democratic Party owes her. But when you basically take a bankrupt party and turn it into one with a lot of cash, that's a lot of favors, that's a lot of issues that get swept under the rug that nobody talks about. There's a reason why Hillary was never indicted, even though she should have been. And this is how it is. So I want all of you to understand the psychological aspect of politics. It's very hard to wrap your heads around a lot of these issues for a lot of people to fully grasp how somebody like Trump is ready to tee up his second term, because right now he's going to win again. And I want you all to understand that there's a reason why this is happening. It's not because Trump is the greatest guy in the world. It's because this system is so broken, and it's so broken by people like Hillary Clinton, who will not let go. If Hillary's going to hell, like my Congresswoman, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, they're going to try to drag everyone to hell with them. They're not going alone. If they fall, they all fall. Everyone falls. That's the mindset. If I'm going down, you're going to break my fall because we're all in this together. You're corrupt, and so am I. And that's why, I mean, think of it this way. Talk about the most obvious corrupt person in politics right now. And no, it's not Donald Trump. But take Senator Bob Menendez of my home state of New Jersey. I mean, that's as corrupt can possibly be. In your face, everywhere, no questions asked. And yet, he's still in the Senate. No one is attempting to get him out. You had 20 senators that came out and said, no, I don't think he should be there anymore. You've got one congressman, Andy Kim, who's challenging him in the primary. But, you know, that's going to go by the wayside. You know why? Because I'm going to give you guys a little bit of inside information if you're not privy to this already. New Jersey's own Governor Phil Murphy, his wife is thinking about running for the U.S. Senate in New Jersey. You know, Jen likes the word caucasity when you talk about how out of step these elites are in this country. It reminds me of when Hillary Clinton ran for the U.S. Senate, when she was still the first lady. You know, I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten that she was the sitting first lady running for the U.S. Senate at the same time. I mean, talk about really overstepping your bounds. And if that happens in New Jersey, it's the same thing. The system is broken. And that's why people are willing to accept the prospect of, hey, Donald Trump 2.0, how much worse can it get? Frankly, I don't care, because that's how a lot of people feel. And I don't blame them for feeling that way. I am tired of how broken the system is, and so should you be. And I think most of us are.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.